right, so our next drawing that we're doing is the large web tee, and we're going to start with a blank piece of paper. So you guys are making your first template today, and what it's going to look like is that when we are all done. Okay, so just so you have an idea, and this is in your packet, it's after the blank page. So we're making this on here. All right, so the first thing you need to be able to do is to find the center of your paper. So we need a couple things. We need a ruler, and you're going to need a protractor for this. It's best if you don't just eyeball the center of your poster. And so while you can eyeball the center of this paper and practice, it's better if you actually practice finding the center. So the best way to do that is to take your ruler and find the center of each of the short sides, and then we'll make a line, and then find the center of each of the long sides and make a line. So this paper is 8.5 by 11. So if I want the middle of an 8.5 inch side, I want to go 4.25. Now I like to measure from the 1 inch line. So instead of going from 0 and going out to 4.25, I'm going to go from 1 and go to 5.25, right? So this is just using a ruler well. If you want to go from the 0, go to 4.25, but I'm going to go to the 1. And for those of you that don't know how to use a ruler, all right, we've got this ruler is in between an inch, the 4 and the 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is in sixteenths. That's how you determine that. You count the marks in between the pieces. So if I want eighths, that means I would go every other line. That would be eighths. If I want fourths, I would go every 4 lines. I take the 16th and divide it into 4 parts. So my fourths, my quarters are 2/8, right? So here's a quarter. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4. So depending on the ruler you have, here's a good example too. Like on the protractor, these are 16ths. Here's an eighth. It's a little longer. A 16th, and then a quarter, and that's even longer. Then the 1/2 inch mark is even longer. So they get a little bit longer. Eighth is the 16th is super short, eighth is a little longer, quarter is a little longer, half is even longer. So the marks are graduated on the ruler, and that's a little bit hard to see on my ruler itself. But I'm going to go 4.25 from the edge, and you want to be as specific as you possibly can. So I'm going to go 4.25. I'm not going to come down to the bottom of the page somewhere and go 4.25. And remember, my paper's 8.5. Oh, I need 4.25. So I told you I was going to 5.25. This is why pencil's good to at least make your templates. I should have realized I wasn't eyeballing correctly here. 5.25. Okay. So pencil's good for your templates, and then I'm going to actually make my design in pen. Now I'm going to make myself a light pencil line down the length of the paper using my 2 marks, my 2 guide marks that I made. Okay. Now I'm going to go down here, and if my paper's 11 inches long, I'm going to go to 5.5, and then go down here to 5.5. And you don't have to go off the paper like that. You can go just on the paper a little bit. 5.5. Connect your 2 marks, and be really specific with this. And then you don't need a protractor if you do that, right? Otherwise, you'd have to draw one line and then measure from the protractor 90 degrees, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't want to do that. All right. But what I do want to do is I want to make sure that these arms are 4-inch arms from the center. So I want this to be 8 inches across and 8 inches across. So I'm going to put my 5-inch piece here, and I'm going to go 4 inches out to 9. So that's going to be the end of my line. And I'm going to put a heavy tick mark there, and then 4 inches out to 1. After that, I'm going to erase when I'm done, but we might as well just go ahead and put our tick marks on here. And when you put tick marks on, you're going to tick from the center. So I'm going to tick every 4 lines and put 1/4 inch tick marks on here. And the more accurate your tick marks are, the more symmetric your drawing is going to be. So you want to try to be pretty careful when you do these. And when you do your poster, you can decide if you want to do your tick marks in pencil, and then you can go through with an eraser when you're done. Now you want the end to be ticked, but my line's going to end after that last tick mark. So I'm going to erase after that. And then I'm going to do these arms as well. So I'm going to go from 5 to 9. That's going to be the end of that line. And then down to 1. So remember, I'm going 4 inches. So 1 to 5 is 4, 5 to 9 is 4. Then I'm going to I like to turn my paper. And then to do my tick marks, tick from the center out. So if you make an error, you want the center of your piece of work to be as specific as possible. Hopefully my head is not in the way of the camera when I do this. Okay, and then I'm going to start in the middle, go back to quarters. The other thing you want to make sure you do is put enough pressure on the ruler that the ruler doesn't slip and slide. I think I made a boo-boo somewhere. Oh yeah, I did. You see it right in there? Okay, so we're going to fix that before we have a problem. So let me get my line back in there. I was talking. Not good at talking and doing this at the same time. All right. Here we go. This is hard to multitask. So while you guys are doing this in the classroom, you should probably be focused on what you're doing, not trying to talk or make a video while you're doing it. All right. And then I'm going to go out and erase the end of the line. Remember, you want a tick mark on the end of the line. Otherwise, it's not going to be the right length. All right. And now let me grab a pen. Oh, that pen might smear. I don't know. I'm going to use my pink pen. All right. And then we're just going to do what we've talked about doing. So these are 1/4 inch tick marks. Okay. And then we're going to go from the outermost tick to the innermost tick. And then 2 to 2. I took my glasses off to do this, and my vision's a little weird. 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5. And you guys know how to do this by now. This is the 3rd drawing you've done. 6 to 6, 7 to 7. Sometimes when you're first starting out, you might even want to count your tick marks and make sure you have the same number of tick marks on each line. Because if you don't, you're going to have a problem when you're all done. Okay, so we'll get done with this line here. And then you'll kind of see where you got to go from here. Those of you that this is easy for, you'll be like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. Some of you are going to be like, oh gosh. All right, so now what I do, I just turn my paper and do exactly the same thing. Turn my paper, do the same thing. Turn my paper, do the same thing. And then, like I said, what you're going for is that picture. So I just finished that one quadrant, turn the paper, finish the other 3. Okay. It's important that this one gets done because you're going to be using this drawing to make another one later on where we're going to actually put another T behind it. And we're going to bury another one using this one as the forefront and the one we're going to put one behind it. Okay. So that's going to happen later on. So make sure that you get this guy done and turned in on time. Okay. So this is number 3 and this is the T. All right. Have fun.